really good to see your faces, and we're looking forward to talking with you today and getting some updates on how things are going and talking through any challenges or questions that you have. But as usual, we have a few announcements, updates, reminders about a couple of things. So the first is that in January, we had another lesson study in the calendar, and we decided based on the last lesson study, which had about 16 people signed up for it, but not much participation, that we would go ahead and cancel that lesson study and replace it with a different online event. So this will be in addition to this meeting on January 22nd, and your teachers will be invited. So it's something we'll bring any AI participants who want to come. And we're still working out the details of what it'll exactly be, but there'll be some conversation around like which resources teachers have tried, what's happening with students in their classroom, which tech sets they really like, how things are going with the Using Sources tool. So something around those things, and we'll talk with you more about it in December and actually maybe do some co-planning as a group in December. But we wanted to tell you now so that you could share it with your teachers. So just send them a quick note, let them know we're going to have a national event with anybody who's participating in the Advanced Institutes, and have them keep it in their calendars. So more information coming soon. So that's January 22nd at this time, 3 Pacific, 4 Mountain, 5 Central, and 6 Eastern time. So let them know about that.
Rachel, do our teachers need to do anything to make sure that they get invitations, or do we send you the
We'll send out an RSVP form as the date gets closer.
Okay.
And that you can pass on to your teachers, and that way
okay.
And
go ahead, Kathleen.
Do you think that it'd be a good idea to try and get teachers into Yammer at this point? Like invite them to join Yammer, and then they'll see the RSVP as it comes through?
We could do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great we want to get as many people in our network as in Yammer as possible. More and more we're communicating that way. So,
Harriet, you sent that invitation, right, to our teachers?
Yes. Yes, for all of our teachers were invited, and as of last week, maybe 5 or 6 have approved or have accepted. So I'll send another one out.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I approve of Yammer.
And if you need me to send a direct invitation to anybody, I'm happy to. Just send me their email address and I can get them in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Kathleen. So we'll have probably in early January, a welcome message for you to pass on to your teachers and an RSVP form, but just wanted to give you this opportunity is coming up, and they can save the time if it's available. And then the second announcement was just to make sure that you all have subscribed to the group by email in Yammer, so that you're making sure to get email notifications when people post or when Kathleen posts announcements or RSVP forms or anything like that. So it's super easy to do, and I'm just going to screen share really quickly to show you in case you haven't done this yet. So when we go to our Yammer group here, you just scroll down and there's a button on the right side where you click subscribe to this group by email. That way you'll make sure to get those notifications in your email as well as in Yammer, because we just aren't sure that everyone's been getting all the messages.
And it's really helpful for us. It's helpful for me because, as some of you have noticed, I've been following up via email when we don't get RSVPs from your site, but it's much easier for me and more streamlined if you get the email from Yammer, and then I don't have to reach out in both ways. And that way also, if your lists have grown this year as you've been doing your work and you have more people in the Yammer group than I have on my list, then everybody will get the note. And so, yes, please sign up for notifications.
Okay, the next thing is from Sarah. So I'm going to let Sarah say some things about it.
Sure. So I added a couple of links in the agenda. Sorry, now it's my dog that's making noise. So there is just, I think, published maybe last week is a challenge through KQED, which is the public radio station out of the Bay Area. And many of you maybe recall a few years back in the 2016 election when the National Writing Project partnered with KQED, and we invited students to write letters to the next president. Well, similar to that initiative, this year, moving into 2020, KQED has partnered with the National Writing Project for a youth media challenge titled Let's Talk About Election 2020. And what this involves, there's 2 links for you in the agenda, the shared agenda there. The first one just provides an overview of the media challenge. And this is a great opportunity, ties right in with C3WP in terms of encouraging civic engagement for our students. I think it's for students 13 and up. They have an opportunity to create some type of a media, like a podcast or a video about issues or topics related to the election that they have a personal interest in. So it's kind of like a commentary of sorts, which is very, I think, relates directly to what we do in our C3WP work. And so there's the first link that provides you some opportunity. There's also a place for teachers to sign up, and then it will take teachers through a series of lessons to familiarize them with the process and with maybe some of the media tools that students have opportunities of creating, such as podcasts or videos and different possible topics, a whole series of lessons to support teachers in this work. And they begin accepting submissions in January. And I think that they take them perhaps through June. So really that entire second semester of the school year.
And when teachers sign up, do students then submit through their teacher? Yeah, that dog. Do teachers sign up through? Do students sign up through their teacher sign up?
You know, I know that the teachers have to sign up, and honestly, I have not read it thoroughly since it's been published. But I know that the students have to sign up in some way to submit their. It looks as I'm looking at it right now. It says, go, like once the teachers sign up, it'll say go to your dashboard and add a new class. And so
yeah, it'll be similar as to L2P in the way that the kids sign up, and they won't have to use an email address in order to sign up. And it can be anonymous. That was my concern. Yeah, it'll be very similar as letters to the next president.
And actually, I'm looking now, they take submissions from January to November. So even a much longer window of submissions. So there you go.
Tom, you're muted.
Yes, because there's working on solar panels and dogs are barking. He wrote a little note about that.
Yeah, I did. Okay, I'm getting all my picture and my voice back together. Sarah, just the day before yesterday, we decided that we would create a C3W resource just for this, like we did letters to the next president. So that'll be ready sometime in January for everybody to use and just be able to, it'll be on the C3WP website and everything like that. And it'll be exactly coherent with what they want for, let's talk about election 2020. Great idea. Thank you, Tom.
And there'll be more stuff coming out from NWP about this, and our January Connecting the Network call is going to focus on this also, where you can, if you come to that, you get more information from Christina Cantrill. So thanks for bringing it up though, Sarah. It's pretty exciting.
Will that be part of the chat we're having Thursday on the NWP new website design?
No.
But Tom's going to say something about that.
I am going to say something that we do have a new NWP.org website that is more public facing, more for writing projects. It'll be for use with administrators and superintendents to try to show them what our organization is and what we do, what we value. It won't be actually for teachers to find help about teaching writing. And all of that stuff from the current NWP.org and more recently than that is now on Write, Learn, Lead, which would be the website for teachers. But It's going to be showcased at the annual meeting, and which is not the annual meeting, it's NWP at NCTE. Sorry, old habits die hard. So there's a couple of NCTE meetups if you're planning on going anyway. One of them is on Thursday, a very informal, hi, how are you doing? What are you doing? What are you up to? And the room and the time is there. And then the more official one is a Sunday brunch in the Grand Ballroom at the Convention Center, Ballroom A. And that's where the website will be unveiled. Any questions?
I thought it was going to be unveiled Thursday.
Well, it might be unveiled a little bit before that, but the big unveil.
Got it.
Is that, what do they call it? A soft launch and a hard launch?
Well, yeah, right. Sunday brunch. Sunday brunch.
Because the website isn't quite finished yet, so the meetings this week will be like screenshots, and then it'll really be like full unveiled.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. That sounds great.
Thanks, everyone. So just now to get into this meeting for today, we thought we've had some pretty structured meetings so far, and we thought this time we would just take some time to do a general check-in to see how things are going, to do a debrief of the UST Round A analysis, since everyone's completed that first round at least by now, and then think together about supporting teachers in planning for and teaching the next cycle of instruction. So we did think we'd start though here in the whole group with just some general, conversation about how things are going. If you have any updates on those strategies that you had for keeping teachers connected, like through text or through smaller groups meeting together, Zoom meetings, if you have any celebrations, like stories from teachers or from students in classrooms, or any challenges or questions that you have. So I know that's a long list of things, but I'd like to open it up just for about 10 minutes for anybody to say something about any of those things on that list.
So can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I tried out the Making Moves for the secondary instructional resource for my seniors in both classes. And I was looking at the Argument Highway PowerPoint slides, which were pretty extensive. And I was short on time for both classes, so I needed to find a way to make that more, effective for the seniors, because they were going to go ahead and write their own paragraph using 2 of the 4 moves since we had discussed it. And I told the kids any topic under the sun, because I needed them to give me to have some buy-in. So what I did, and it's funny because I have these in front of me, I kind of condensed the PowerPoint slides and I did my little images from the computer because I didn't know how to do it fancier. And I gave them the examples with the cars, the plow, and the fire truck. And so they were able to look at the examples of the moves and then write them on their own. Mm-hmm. We analyzed that in the handout. That was successful because they could identify the moves in somebody else's writing. And as I predicted, when they did their own writing, it became a whole different monster. And the struggle for them was, how can I include a move and create a move in my writing when I'm not sure what my ideas are first? So I had to backtrack a little bit, and on the 3rd day, I told them, okay, guys, forget about the moves for now. Write your thoughts and ideas on this claim, skip lines, and then slowly go back and immerse yourself in the moves. So right now, they are able to somewhat successfully include 2 of the 4 moves, but it's been really tough getting them to write or to create their own. So I'd say we're kind of in the middle right now. Some struggles, some issues, but I'm happy that they're exposed to the moves and that they're going to try to finish that up this week.
That's really cool. You should, first of all, definitely share that handout in Yammer, because I think other people would be interested in seeing it. But also that's the tricky thing with the Harris moves, right? I think it's easier to identify them in other people's writing than it is to make the moves themselves. But I often say, and I really do think, that if students are in a place where they're thinking that they see themselves as writers who make moves, who make decisions, even if haven't quite mastered them, that's a really important first step. So if it makes sense that they'd be in that place, but at least they're thinking about, themselves as writers and how they might make certain moves. So I think that's really cool. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any updates or celebrations, questions?
I think one issue, like not for me personally, but maybe some of the other teachers, is figuring out how to actually get some of this in. So we have some teachers where they feel like the only time they can be teaching these is when they're in like a specific argument unit. Mm-hmm. And so there has been a struggle to get some of our participants to actually find ways to not use this just like back to back to back in specific units, but how to kind of blend it in throughout a little bit to make those connections. So it's just a struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not an uncommon challenge that teachers face, because a lot of times, typically, that's how we've been told, right? You teach your argument unit and then you're done with argument and move on to something else. So I think across the board, it is a challenge for people to understand this concept of teaching argument routinely over the course of the year, and and spreading that out and integrating it with the things that they already do. Sarah or Cecilia, do you have anything to say about that? Like, and I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but with teachers that we've worked with, have you any ideas about how to help out with that challenge?
I think that in my experience, it can be challenging, especially when teachers are feeling like they need to follow a curriculum or sequence that's set forth in their districts or their buildings. But I really have found in my own instruction that these moves fit into more than just, argument writing, if we're using it in that term, or it can really connect to a lot of the different types of work that we're having students do. And just with creating that culture of argument, that routine argument writing, even if it might not be like the longer term piece that students are working on, that there's opportunities to practice that within the other content that you're working on with your students. Or maybe it's a lot of classrooms have the bell ringer or the warm up or the learning launch or whatever it might be. And so even though the timing of that maybe needs to be adjusted a little bit, there's still opportunities to practice these different moves and to work with, reading sources and thinking critically. So that's what I can offer.
I also agree with Sarah in the idea of the routine writing. That's how I usually ask teachers if they have 15 minutes at the beginning of class time, and then work with them on trying out some of these just routine argument writing. And then it's also an opportunity for us to be thinking partners with some of those teachers and ask them some of the units that they are working on or will be working on, and then helping them to think through how they could insert some of these resources as a unit in preparation for a different unit. So they're using the topics from the moves or the strategies, anything like that from these resources in preparation for something else that they're doing, or have them ask, what skills do you want to improve with your students? So not even having them think about argument writing, but let's look at some of these skills to show them that this is why this is useful. So not to get stuck with that word of just, it's only for argument writing, but let's look at these skills and then, have that conversation where these skills benefit in this unit or that particular unit that you're working on. And walking alongside them just helps them kind of reframe this work and understand that this is more than just specifically argument writing unit or resource.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I'll say, that I think maybe I sound like a broken record when it comes to this, but reminding your AI participants that really the purpose of the Advanced Institute is for them to learn about the program so that they can potentially do professional development with teachers in districts. And so if you can put it out as a challenge for them to think about, okay, if you're going to run into this, teachers and districts are going to need help working through it. So how can you work through it yourself in order to prepare to be a thinking partner for them? And even to just like for this year, like try this out and see what happens and see what you learn that we can take to other teachers. Anybody else? Oh, Shelly, I think you're talking, but you are muted.
You're still muted.
There, maybe now?
This is Carrie from the Hoosier Writing Project, and I was just going to say one of the ways that we have sort of framed everything with the teachers is to think about paired text, which is very like hip on Twitter. So you have these units that you're doing, and then what nonfiction paired text can you use in your classroom? And we found a lot of success with that. Just something to add.
Yeah, that's helpful too, helping them see like where, especially now, because we have a bunch of tech sets, we've made so many new tech sets that there's a lot more opportunities for people to connect in that way too. So thanks for adding that, Carrie. Well, I don't see anyone else unmuting, but I did want to, just start with like a general check-in and questions. And as we always do, we're going to go ahead and move into smaller groups where you'll have some time with Sarah and Cecilia. And in those groups, we're going to like really specifically think about and talk about what happened with the Using Sources tool round A analysis. Like, what did teachers see? What did you see in your reports? And how did you use those reports to help plan for next steps in teaching and in professional development? And then how just in general things are going as teachers move into the second, or in some cases the third cycle of instruction. We're always curious about what people are teaching and what's going well and what has been challenging. So and then knowing, just to also add at the end when we come back for the whole group discussion, we're going to hear from questions that were raised by the breakout discussions, things that you are still thinking about, in order for you to help us name what kind of supports you might need or topics that we could include in our December whole group Zoom. So moving forward, we really like to have you guys be part of helping us plan the agenda for these calls. So keep that in mind as we're in those small group discussions for about 20 minutes. So I think if Kathleen's ready, Kathleen, you can send us, and we'll come back at 10 till.
Great, I am ready. And just a reminder to, let's say Rachel and Tom.
That's okay, Tony. Thank you. Saw you have to go. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next month. Sorry, Kathleen.
That's okay. Rachel and Tom, if you could both record the rooms that you get sent to.
Okay.
And then send them to me later. That'd be great. Okay, here we go. And I'm sorry, 10 till, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello again.
Sarah, your room was so prompt.
We were, I think we were pretty efficient.
Yeah, we actually we were done with 1 minute to go.
Yes.
Hello, welcome back, everyone. So we have just a few minutes left, and like I said, what we are hoping to hear in this final discussion is any new questions that were raised in your breakout discussions or things that came up that you need support around. And we're not going to answer these questions right now. This is for us as a team to think about moving forward, like what kind of things we can do to support you and planning for our meetings in ways that are going to be most useful to you. So, so are there any questions or challenges that came up or things that you're thinking about that you would like us to help with or to think about in our planning?
River.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's about the PD. Are we to plan our own PD with using teacher consultants that have been working with us, or is there a framework from C3WP for PD?
Like moving forward after the Advance Institute?
Right.
Okay. Like I said, we're going to just list right now, and we'll be using these to think about what kind of things we can help you with, or how we can help you with these things.
Right, and it's more the year after the implementation that we're talking about, as I understand it.
Okay. Well, I just started thinking about that because you were talking about motivating teachers to hang in here on this.
Yeah.
Yes, good point.
Anything else?
I think there's just been a couple comments about finding time in the curriculum and existing curriculum to fit 4 cycles of instruction in.
That, and maybe just also additional ideas or thinking about how to support students when they're at different places in terms of when you're getting your feedback, you're using the formative assessment tool, the UST, and if we brainstorm some different strategies to support, learners who are at different places in a classroom, but if we maybe have an opportunity to think about that a little bit more, that would be helpful.
There was some, and there was some conversation in our group about doing one-on-one coaching with teachers. And so I was thinking that might be something that we could, spend some time on thinking about. How do you coach individual teachers? How do you visit them in their classroom? Maybe even co-planning and co-teaching. So that was something we talked about that I thought might be.
Yeah, that would be helpful for me as well, Rachel. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Another idea that Sarah and Cecilia and I floated last time we talked was that there might be something to do around resources. Like we did work with resources at the launch, but if there are any resources that you're thinking like moving forward that we could do a demonstration for, we could do some exploration together and talking about, that would be another possibility. So if you have ideas for resources that we might want to look at together, we can say those and list them, or you could think about it and reach out to us and let us know. But if we'd like to get, if there's things you might want to demonstrate in PD that we could work through together first, that would be a possibility.
This might not be the first thing that we do at the next meeting, or even at the next meeting, might be later. But I was reading over, we had gathered some stories from people, and I was reading through the story, and this one story was from a teacher who was very successful. She was teaching the organizing evidence, and she had a very successful time. She was so excited about the progress of her student, and her student raised his hand and says, "With so much happening in the world, how come we're writing about cars?" And she said she was really struck that she had missed the fact they were ready to decide what they wanted to write about. and that they had things that they cared about. And for some of them, it was not driverless cars. You know, it was something bigger and more central to their hearts. So getting to self-selected topics is something we ought to think about sometime in the spring to help everybody. And maybe that's something that we demonstrate or help, because it needs a different kind of support, especially around research and gathering information. But it seems like that might be something that we could explore together.
I also want to jump in just to highlight what Tom just said. I let my seniors choose any topic as long as it met those criteria. And I have to admit, I have 3 or 4 seniors right now who are at 80 credits or less. Okay, so they're seniors. There's no way they're going to graduate on time. And they're struggling at the beginning of the year. One kid's writing about legalization of marijuana. Another kid's writing about
Hey, wait, it's already legal.
I know. Well, that's why I looked at him. I'm like, honey, let's research this a little more. But that was where his attention was. Another one, but they are writing.
They're writing.
They are. And these are the 4 that I thought were one step out the door. They very well could be. They have a choice not to come to school, but they have been surprising me just with the idea that they have the freedom to choose a topic they're passionate about. So
we've heard other stories like that when it comes to those resources that, like, making civic arguments or finding a topic and researching the conversation. It can be really impactful for students, and a lot of times teachers don't get there in the first year, when actually those things are really doable by the end of 1 year of C3WP. So
yeah.
Anything else we're thinking about? Okay, we have 2 minutes left, so we can say goodbye. Tom and I both have to go straight to another meeting, so we won't be able to stay on for questions this time. But if you have questions, reach out to us, or as you know, you can always reach out to Sarah and Cecilia, and they'll pass the questions on to us if they need our help answering them. But thank you so much.
Won't.
thank you.
Probably won't.
Could I ask Sarah, Jonathan